Fade in on a dimly lit dining room, the camera lingering on an empty chair at the head of a worn wooden table. The chair, once occupied by laughter and shared stories, now stands silent, a sentinel in the quiet aftermath of loss. The evening light filters through half-drawn curtains, casting long shadows that dance like forgotten memories across the floor. A single place setting remains untouched, a fork and knife crossed neatly as if waiting for a return that will never come. This empty chair, it's more than a void. It's a mirror reflecting the ache within, but also a quiet invitation, whispering that life, though shattered, holds the pieces for something new. Imagine, if you will, a vast ocean after a storm. The waves, once furious and unrelenting, begin to subside, revealing treasures washed ashore. Shells polished by turmoil, driftwood sculpted into art by the chaos. Grief is that storm, fierce and all-consuming, but in its wake lies transformation, not just sorrow. Losing a spouse isn't the end of your story. It's the pivotal plot twist that demands you rewrite the narrative with courage and grace. It's the moment when the world tilts on its axis, and you must find your footing on unfamiliar ground. Yet in this journey, there are pitfalls, costly missteps that can delay your growth, trapping you in cycles of pain rather than propelling you toward healing. Today we embark on this cinematic exploration, a voiceover guiding you through the shadows and into the light. We'll uncover 5 such missteps, weaving in stories of real people who've navigated these waters, metaphors that illuminate the path, and practical wisdom to empower your steps forward. Let us begin with the reality of grief itself, not as a thief that steals your joy, but as a teacher that reshapes your soul. When a spouse departs, whether through the sudden cruelty of accident, the prolonged battle of illness, or the quiet fate of time, the world doesn't just lose color, it fractures. You wake up to a bed that's too big, a routine that's lopsided, and a future that feels like a blank canvas smeared with uncertainty. But here's the profound truth. Grief is not merely absence, it's alchemy. It turns the lead of loss into the gold of deeper understanding, if only we allow it. Think of it as a cocoon, uncomfortable, confining, yet necessary for the butterfly's emergence. In this transformation, emotions swirl like autumn leaves in the wind. Shock gives way to denial, anger simmers beneath the surface, bargaining whispers, desperate pleas. Depression weighs like an anchor, and acceptance glimmers like dawn after the longest night. Yet in our modern world, where busyness is a badge of honor and vulnerability a perceived weakness, we often stumble into missteps that prolong this process. These aren't just errors. They're human responses to overwhelming pain, amplified by societal pressures, financial strains, and the isolation of a digital age where connections are often superficial. We'll delve into each, starting with the first, the temptation to isolate oneself, building walls instead of bridges. Misstep 1, succumbing to isolation, the silent saboteur. Picture Sarah, a 52-year-old teacher from a bustling suburb in Chicago. Her husband, Mark, had been her anchor for 28 years, the one who brewed her morning coffee just right, who danced with her in the kitchen to old jazz records, who shared the load of parenting their 2 now adult children. When Mark succumbed to a heart attack one crisp autumn morning, Sarah's world imploded. The funeral was a blur of sympathetic faces and casseroles, but as the weeks turned to months, the visitors dwindled. Friends called less frequently, assuming she needed space. Family, wrapped in their own lives, offered platitudes like, "Time heals all wounds." Sarah, drowning in grief, retreated. She canceled book club meetings, ignored texts, and spent evenings scrolling through old photos on her phone, the glow of the screen her only companion. Isolation, dear listener, is the first costly misstep that delays growth after grief. It's seductive, a velvet trap that promises solace but delivers stagnation. In the immediate aftermath, withdrawing feels natural, a protective shell against a world that moves on while you're frozen in time. But prolonged isolation erodes the very foundations of healing. Humans are wired for connection. It's in our DNA, an evolutionary gift that helped our ancestors survive harsh winters and predatory threats. When we lose a spouse, that connection is severed, leaving a gaping wound. Yet instead of seeking new threads to weave into our tapestry, we often pull away, fearing judgment, pity, or the exhaustion of explaining our pain. Consider the metaphor of a lone tree in a storm-swept plain. Without the shelter of a forest, its roots weaken, branches snap, and it risks toppling entirely. Similarly, isolation exposes us to the full fury of grief's gales. Loneliness amplifies every regret, every what if, turning whispers into roars. In today's world, this misstep is exacerbated by modern challenges. Remote work that keeps us glued to screens, social media that showcases curated happiness while hiding our struggles, and a pandemic-era habit of solitude that's hard to shake. Sarah found herself binge-watching shows late into the night, avoiding the empty side of the bed, her health deteriorating as meals became afterthoughts, microwaved leftovers, or skipped altogether. The psychological impact is profound. Loneliness isn't just emotional, it's a physical assailant. Studies from renowned psychologists like Julianne Holt-Lunstad reveal that chronic isolation rivals smoking or obesity in its health risks, increasing chances of depression, anxiety, and even premature death. For widows and widowers, this manifests as a vicious cycle. Grief fuels withdrawal, which deepens depression, which reinforces isolation. Regret creeps in. Regret for unspoken words, for arguments unresolved, for dreams deferred. Anxiety about the future looms. Who will I grow old with? How do I navigate holidays alone? These thoughts, unchallenged by external perspectives, fester like untreated wounds. But here's where the hidden lessons emerge, glimmers of wisdom in the darkness. Isolation, when confronted, teaches us the value of selective vulnerability. It clarifies what truly matters, authentic connections over superficial ones. Sarah's turning point came during a rare grocery run, where she bumped into an old colleague who'd lost her partner years prior. A simple, "How are you really?" opened the floodgates. That conversation led to a support group where stories mirrored her own, normalizing the chaos within. From this, inner strength blossomed. She realized her resilience wasn't in solitude, but in reaching out. To avoid this misstep, embrace practical tools early. Start small, a daily walk in the park, where casual nods to strangers rebuild social muscles. Journaling becomes a bridge. Pour out your thoughts on paper, then share snippets with a trusted friend. Support groups, whether in person like those from GriefShare or online forums on Reddit's r/r widowers, offer anonymity and empathy. Self-care rituals, meditating for 10 minutes, preparing a nourishing meal, remind you that you're worthy of connection. Remember, healing isn't linear. It's a spiral, each turn bringing you closer to renewal. As Sarah rebuilt, she transformed her isolation into intentional solitude, time for reflection that fueled growth, not despair. The empty chair? She began inviting friends over, turning it into a symbol of new beginnings. Avoid this misstep, and you'll find that grief, though isolating, can lead to deeper bonds. Now let's transition to the second misstep, one that often intertwines with the first. Neglecting your physical and emotional health, treating your body and mind as afterthoughts in the fog of sorrow. Misstep 2, neglecting self-care, the erosion of foundations. Envision a grand castle, its towers once majestic, now crumbling from within because the caretakers ignored the cracks in the walls, the leaks in the roof. Grief turns us into such caretakers of our own selves. Overwhelmed, we let the foundations erode, believing that survival is enough, that thriving is a luxury for later. This is the second costly misstep, neglecting health, both physical and emotional, in the wake of loss. Take Michael, a 65-year-old retired engineer from Seattle. His wife, Elena, had been his partner in adventure for 40 years, hiking the Pacific Northwest trails, savoring home-cooked Italian meals, planning trips to far-flung places. When cancer claimed her after a grueling 2-year fight, Michael was left adrift. The practicalities consumed him, sorting paperwork, handling finances, informing distant relatives. Exercise, forgotten. Sleep, fractured by nightmares. Nutrition, replaced by takeout and alcohol to numb the edges. Emotionally, he suppressed tears, channeling energy into staying strong for his grown children, bearing regret under layers of stoicism. Neglecting self-care is insidious because it masquerades as necessity. In the early days of grief, adrenaline surges keep us functioning. arranging funerals, managing estates. But when it crashes, exhaustion sets in. We skip doctor visits, ignore warning signs like persistent fatigue or unexplained aches, rationalizing that our pain is just grief. Emotionally, we bottle up feelings, fearing they'll overwhelm us if unleashed. Modern challenges amplify this. Financial pressures push us back to work too soon. Social media bombards us with move-on messages, and the isolation of urban living leaves little room for rest. The psychological toll is staggering. Depression doesn't just cloud the mind, it alters brain chemistry, reducing serotonin and dopamine, making even simple tasks Herculean. Anxiety manifests as racing thoughts, fears of illness mirroring our spouses, or financial ruin from unchecked decisions. Regret compounds. Why didn't I insist on that checkup? Why did we postpone that vacation? Loneliness echoes louder in a neglected body, creating a feedback loop where poor health fuels emotional despair. Yet within this misstep lie hidden lessons of profound clarity. Neglect forces us to confront our mortality, awakening a wisdom that prioritizes well-being. It reveals inner strength, the realization that caring for ourselves honors our lost love, a continuation of the partnership in spirit. Michael hit rock bottom when a routine blood test revealed high blood pressure, a wake-up call echoing Elena's own health battles. He began with small steps, a morning stretch routine, swapping wine for herbal tea, journaling regrets to release them. Practical tools abound for sidestepping this pitfall. Self-care starts with basics. Establish a sleep hygiene ritual. Dim lights, no screens an hour before bed. Nutrition is medicine. Prepare simple, nutrient-rich meals, perhaps batch cooking on weekends. Physical activity, not marathons, but walks in nature, where the rhythm of steps soothes the soul. Emotionally, therapy or counseling provides a safe space. Apps like Calm offer guided meditations for anxiety. Support groups double as accountability partners, sharing tips on health maintenance. As Michael healed, he transformed neglect into nourishment, hiking trails in Elena's memory, his body strengthening alongside his spirit. The castle rebuilt, stronger for the repairs. These first two missteps, isolation and neglect, often dance together, delaying growth by keeping us stuck in survival mode. But recognizing them is the first step toward empowerment. As we pause here in part one, remember, grief is not your enemy, it's your guide. In the parts to come, we'll explore the remaining missteps, delving deeper into financial follies, emotional suppression, and the fear of moving forward, all while uncovering more tools for renewal. The camera pans across a quiet suburban street at dusk, where streetlights flicker to life, casting pools of amber on cracked sidewalks. A single figure walks slowly, hands in pockets, passing houses alive with the hum of family dinners and muffled laughter. To the grieving, these sounds are a foreign language, a reminder of a life that feels forever out of reach. Yet within this solitude lies a paradox. The journey through grief is not about escaping pain, but about embracing it as a catalyst for renewal. The empty chair we spoke of before, it's not just a void, it's a canvas, waiting for new strokes of color, new stories to tell. As we continue this cinematic voiceover, we delve deeper into the missteps that can stall this transformation, uncovering their emotional weight, their practical consequences, and the tools to navigate them toward healing. In part one, we explored the traps of isolation and neglecting self-care, twin shadows that dim the light of resilience. Now we turn to the third and fourth missteps, which often emerge as grief evolves from raw sorrow into a complex dance of decisions and suppressed emotions. These are financial recklessness and bottling up grief, both seductive in their promise of control, yet perilous in their ability to derail growth. Let's walk this path together, weaving stories, metaphors, and practical wisdom to guide you toward hope. Misstep 3, financial recklessness, the mirage of control. Picture a ship adrift in a fog-choked sea, its captain frantically turning the wheel, hoping to outrun the storm. Grief can make us that captain, grasping for control in a world turned upside down. For many, this manifests in the third costly misstep, financial recklessness. In the wake of losing a spouse, money becomes a tangible anchor, a way to assert order amid chaos. But hasty decisions, driven by pain or panic, can sink the ship before it finds safe harbor. Consider Rachel, a 47-year-old graphic designer from Atlanta. Her husband, David, was the financial planner in their marriage, handling budgets, investments, and bills with meticulous care. When David passed suddenly in a car accident, Rachel was thrust into a maze of paperwork, life insurance policies, mortgage payments, and unexpected medical bills. Overwhelmed, she made snap decisions, selling their family home at a loss to simplify, dipping into retirement savings to cover daily expenses, ignoring calls from financial advisors. She thought these choices would ease her burden, but they left her vulnerable, with mounting debt and a future clouded by uncertainty. Financial recklessness is a common misstep because grief distorts our judgment. The modern world amplifies this. A single missed bill can spiral into penalties, social media attempts with quick fixes like risky investments or impulsive purchases, and the pressure to keep up appearances pushes us to spend beyond our means. For widows and widowers, the stakes are high. Losing a spouse often means losing a dual income, a shared financial vision, or the person who balanced the checkbook. Suddenly, you're navigating taxes, estate laws, or creditors alone, all while grappling with emotional fog. The psychological impact is a double-edged sword. Anxiety spikes as bank accounts dwindle. Every unexpected expense feels like a betrayal of the life you built together. Regret festers. Regret for not learning the finances sooner, for not having those what-if conversations. Depression creeps in when financial instability mirrors emotional instability, making the future feel like a cliff's edge. Rachel, for instance, spiraled into self-blame, haunted by thoughts of, what would David think, as she struggled to pay utilities. Yet within this chaos lie hidden lessons. Financial missteps teach us clarity. Money is a tool, not a savior. They awaken wisdom, forcing us to confront what truly matters: security, not status. And they reveal inner strength as we learn to navigate systems we once avoided. Rachel's turning point came when she joined a financial literacy workshop for widows offered through a local community center. There, she learned to budget, negotiate with creditors, and seek low-cost legal advice. Slowly, she rebuilt, her confidence growing with each small victory. To avoid this misstep, practical tools are your compass. Start by pausing major decisions, selling a home, quitting a job, or liquidating assets for at least 6 months if possible. Grief clouds clarity, time sharpens it. Create a simple budget. Track income and expenses using apps like Mint or YNAB, focusing on essentials first. Seek professional help. Financial advisors or nonprofit organizations like Savvy Ladies offer free or low-cost guidance for those grieving. If paperwork feels overwhelming, enlist a trusted friend or family member to sit with you, breaking tasks into manageable chunks. Journaling can help here too. Write down financial fears to externalize them, then list one actionable step to address each. Rachel's ship eventually found harbor. She downsized thoughtfully, not impulsively, and built an emergency fund, honoring David's pragmatism. Her story reminds us, financial stability isn't just about money. It's about reclaiming agency, one deliberate choice at a time. Misstep 4, bottling up grief, the pressure cooker of pain. Now imagine a pressure cooker left on high, its steam trapped inside, the lid rattling with pent-up force. Grief, when suppressed, becomes that cooker, building pressure until it explodes or implodes. The fourth misstep is bottling up grief, believing that silence is strength, that expressing pain is weakness. This is a trap many fall into, especially in a culture that praises stoicism and quick recoveries. Meet James, a 60-year-old mechanic from rural Texas. His wife Linda was his high school sweetheart, the one who sang off-key to country tunes, who made Sunday barbecues a neighborhood event. When Linda passed from leukemia, James threw himself into work, fixing cars from dawn to dusk. He told himself he was handling it, brushing off his daughter's concern with a gruff, "I'm fine." Tears were private, shed only in the dark of his garage. But the unexpressed grief festered. Anger flared at coworkers, nightmares stole his sleep, and a persistent ache settled in his chest, a physical echo of his buried pain. Bottling up grief is seductive because it feels like control. In a world where loss strips away certainty, holding emotions in check seems like a way to stay upright. Modern challenges exacerbate this. Workplace cultures demand productivity, social media glorifies bouncing back, and well-meaning friends urge us to move on before we're ready. For men like James, cultural expectations of masculinity often amplify the pressure to suppress, while women may face judgment for dwelling too long. Widows and widowers alike fear burdening others, so they silence their sorrow, believing it protects both themselves and those around them. The psychological toll is devastating. Suppressed grief doesn't vanish, it shapeshifts. It becomes irritability, snapping at loved ones over trivialities. It fuels anxiety, as unprocessed emotions manifest as racing thoughts or panic attacks. Depression deepens, fed by the loneliness of unshared pain. Regret grows. Regret for not saying, "I love you" enough, for arguments left unresolved. Physically, the body rebels. Stress hormones like cortisol surge, raising risks of heart disease, insomnia, or weakened immunity, as studies from the American Psychological Association confirm. But here's the hidden gift. Suppressed grief, when released, becomes a teacher of authenticity. It shows us the courage and vulnerability, the strength in admitting we're not okay. James's breakthrough came unexpectedly at a church grief group, where a stranger's story mirrored his own. He spoke haltingly at first, then poured out memories of Linda, the good, the painful, the unresolved. Tears fell, and with them, the pressure eased. He began journaling, writing letters to Linda he'd never send, releasing regret and finding peace. Practical tools can help uncork this pressure. Journaling is a safe start. Write without censoring, letting raw emotions spill onto the page. Therapy, whether in person or via platforms like BetterHelp, offers a trained listener to guide you through the tangle. Creative outlets, painting, music, poetry, give grief a voice when words fail. Support groups normalize the messiness of mourning. Online communities like Widowed Village connect you with others who understand. Even small rituals like lighting a candle for your spouse each evening create space for grief to breathe. James learned to honor Linda by sharing her memory, not hiding it. He started a community barbecue in her name, turning grief into connection. The pressure cooker cooled, its steam released as stories, laughter, and tears. As we close part 2, we've uncovered 2 more missteps: financial recklessness and bottling up grief that can delay the growth grief offers. These are not failures, but human responses to an inhumane loss. The modern world, with its financial complexities and emotional taboos, makes these traps all too easy to fall into. Yet with awareness and tools, you can sidestep them, transforming pain into purpose. In part 3, we'll confront the final misstep, resisting the call to move forward, and weave together the lessons and tools into an inspiring call to action, showing how grief can become a path to honoring love while embracing renewal. The camera sweeps over a misty dawn, where the first rays of sunlight pierce through a canopy of ancient trees, illuminating a winding path that disappears into the distance. Each step on this path feels uncertain, the ground uneven beneath your feet, yet it leads somewhere, toward a horizon that promises renewal, if only you keep moving. Grief is that path, not a destination to be avoided, but a journey to be embraced. The empty chair we've carried through this narrative, once a symbol of loss, now becomes a beacon, urging us to honor what was while stepping boldly into what can be. In this final part of our cinematic voiceover, we confront the 5th and most subtle misstep that delays growth after grief: resisting the call to move forward. We'll weave together the lessons from all 5 missteps, offering tools to transform sorrow into strength, and end with an empowering call to action. Grief as a path to honoring love while embracing a new chapter. In parts 1 and 2, we navigated the perils of isolation, neglecting self-care, financial recklessness, and bottling up grief. These missteps, born of pain and amplified by modern challenges, can anchor us in the past. But the 5th misstep is different. It's not about what we do, but what we refuse to do. It's the hesitation to take that next step, to believe that life can hold meaning again. Let's walk this final stretch together with stories, metaphors, and practical wisdom to light the way. Misstep 5, resisting the call to move forward. The anchor of fear. Imagine a bird, its wings clipped by sorrow, perched on the edge of a cliff. Below lies a valley vibrant with possibility, but the bird hesitates, its heart heavy with memories of soaring alongside its mate. The fear of falling, of betraying the past, keeps it grounded. This is the fifth misstep, resisting the call to move forward, clinging to grief as a way to stay connected to the one we've lost. It's a subtle trap, often disguised as loyalty, but it risks tethering us to a life half-lived. Meet Emily, a 55-year-old librarian from Boston. Her husband Tom was her intellectual partner for 30 years, the one who debated literature over coffee, who left sticky notes with poetry in her lunch bag, who dreamed with her of a retirement filled with travel. When Tom passed from a sudden stroke, Emily's world froze. She kept his study untouched, his books arranged just as he left them, his sweater draped over the chair. Friends urged her to try new things, a book club, a painting class, but she declined, saying it wouldn't be the same without him. Dating? Unthinkable. Even small changes like redecorating felt like erasing Tom. She lived in a museum of memories, believing that moving forward meant letting go. Resisting the call to move forward is a misstep rooted in fear. Fear of losing the connection to our spouse, fear of judgment from others, fear that joy betrays love. In our modern world, this is compounded by societal pressures. Social media showcases others moving on in ways that feel inauthentic. Family expectations clash with personal readiness, and the fast-paced world demands we get over it before we're ready. For widows and widowers, this resistance often stems from guilt. If I laugh again, am I dishonoring them? If I love again, am I replacing them? The empty chair becomes a shrine, a place we visit but dare not reimagine. The psychological impact is profound. Resistance fuels stagnation, trapping us in a loop of loneliness and regret. Anxiety spikes at the thought of change. New relationships, new routines, new dreams feel like uncharted waters. Depression settles in, whispering that the best parts of life are over. Regret grows heavier, regret for missed opportunities, for clinging to pain instead of possibility. Emily, for instance, found herself avoiding places she and Tom loved, like their favorite bookstore, because the memories were too sharp. Her world shrank, her spirit dimmed. Yet within this misstep lies the most transformative lesson of all. Moving forward doesn't mean forgetting, it means carrying love into new chapters. Grief teaches us clarity. Life is fleeting, so we must live it fully. It awakens wisdom. Joy and sorrow can coexist, each enriching the other. And it reveals inner strength, the courage to redefine happiness on your terms. Emily's turning point came during a library event, where a guest speaker, a widower, shared how he honored his wife by pursuing their shared passion for literature in new ways. Inspired, Emily joined a poetry workshop where she wrote verses that wove Tom's memory into her present. She began to see that moving forward was an act of love, not betrayal. Practical tools can ease this transition. Start small, rearrange a room, try a new hobby, or visit a place you once shared. Reframing it as a tribute. Journaling helps. Write about the future you want, blending your spouse's legacy with your aspirations. Support groups like those from Modern Widows Club offer stories of others who've taken this step. Normalizing the process. Therapy can untangle guilt, helping you reframe moving on as moving with. Rituals bridge the past and future. Plant a tree in their memory. Volunteer for a cause they loved, or create a scholarship in their name. These acts keep love alive while opening space for growth. Emily's bird eventually took flight. She traveled to Paris, a dream she and Tom shared, scattering his favorite poem's words into the Seine. The valley below wasn't a betrayal, it was a continuation. Her story reminds us, moving forward is not leaving love behind. It's carrying it into the light, weaving the lessons together, a path to renewal. As we stand at this crossroads, let's reflect on the 5 missteps. Isolation, neglecting self-care, financial recklessness, bottling up grief, and resisting the call to move forward. Each is a natural response to loss, yet each can delay the growth that grief, in its wisdom, offers. Together, they paint a picture of the grieving heart, yearning for connection, yet fearing it, craving stability, yet stumbling, longing to heal, yet hesitating. The modern world, with its isolation, financial pressures, and emotional taboos makes these missteps almost inevitable. But they are not your destiny. Grief is a teacher, not a tyrant. It reveals hidden lessons, the clarity to prioritize what matters, the wisdom to embrace vulnerability, the strength to rebuild. From Sarah's journey out of isolation, we learned the power of connection. From Michael's neglect, we saw the necessity of self-care. Rachel's financial missteps taught us agency through planning. James's bottled grief showed the freedom in expression, and Emily's resistance unveiled the courage to move forward. Each story is a thread in the tapestry of healing, woven with resilience and hope. Practical tools are your allies on this path. To combat isolation, seek community, support groups, trusted friends, or even a daily walk where smiles are exchanged. For self-care, prioritize sleep, nutrition, and movement, even if it's just a 10-minute stretch. To avoid financial recklessness, pause major decisions and seek guidance from advisors or apps like Mint. To release bottled grief, journal, create, or talk, whether to a therapist or a grief group like Widowed Village. And to move forward, start small, try a new activity, honor your spouse with a ritual, or write a vision for your future. These steps, small as they seem, are monumental in their impact. A call to action, grief as a path to honoring love. The camera pulls back, revealing the path now bathed in golden light, stretching toward a horizon alive with possibility. The empty chair, once a symbol of absence, is now surrounded by new faces, friends, family, perhaps a new love. Not replacing the past, but adding to it. Grief is not the end of your story. It's the bridge to a new chapter, one where love endures in every step you take. Dear listener, you are not defined by your loss, but by how you rise from it. Grief is a sacred space, a crucible where pain forges resilience, where sorrow bursts wisdom. The missteps we've explored are not failures. They're signposts, guiding you toward growth. Honor your spouse by living fully, not in spite of your grief, but because of it. Their love is not locked in the past. It's a flame you carry, lighting the way to new dreams, new connections, new purpose. Take that first step today. Call a friend, write a letter, plant a seed, literal or metaphorical. Let the empty chair be your invitation, not your anchor. The path is yours to walk, and though it winds through shadows, it leads to a dawn where love and hope intertwine. You are stronger than you know, and your story is far from over.